Well, good afternoon and good to see many of you again. Just got to, there we are. Just show you the standard disclaimer. We are an ASX listed company, and obviously we have to make you aware that there could be some forward-looking statements in the presentation. Just to give you an overview, what we're talking about is we are a clinical development company taking a pharmaceutical product through the regulatory process to get market approval, and our target regulatory agency is the US FDA. So we have done multiple phase 2 studies and in osteoarthritis, and we have seen very consistent results, and we have published a number of those results in peer-reviewed journals. We are now embarking on a phase 3 study in the treatment of moderate to severe osteoarthritis. So we have progressed from phase 2 into phase 3. So we're a phase 3 asset, late stage. For those of you who know the process, it is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So we're in phase 3. Near-term catalysts will be updates on the number of patients recruited into the trial, etc. I'll take you through the trial design on one of the slides a bit later. I think a key thing to highlight is that we have chosen to do multiple phase 2 studies. The reason for that is that a phase 2 study should inform your phase 3 trial design, and we have found many different improvements to our protocol that we can make over time to come up with an optimized phase 3 program. Our program has got US FDA fast track designation. Osteoarthritis is a very large unmet medical need. We know there's over 500 million people with clinically diagnosed osteoarthritis, and many of those have advanced osteoarthritis or moderate to severe osteoarthritis in the knee or hip. So around 70% of people with osteoarthritis have it in the weight-bearing joints of the knee and the hip. So back in the 1950s, some doctors came up with a grading scale using radiographs. And as you can see, it's a 4-point scale, grade 1, grade 2 to the right-hand side, and then below that grade 3 and grade 4. For those experienced in reading radiographs, they will note that the space between the bones, so on the top we have the femoral condyles sitting on the tibial plateau, the bones below the knee. The distance between those bones is taken up by cartilage, which is not imageable on X-ray, so it appears as a space. But as you can see, going from grade 1 to grade 2, grade 3 to grade 4, that space between the bones is becoming less and less. And then on the bottom far right, you can see on the right-hand side of that image that the bones are no longer separated, they're actually touching, which is getting towards end-stage disease, which is bone-on-bone, osteophyte outgrowths, etc., etc. Very, very disabling condition. It progresses over time, and what science has now told us is that osteoarthritis is not like what our parents may have told us, which is its wear and tear. We now know that there is a pathophysiology to the disease. We know that it's driven by certain cell types within the joint, and it now is considered to be, if you consider the joint as an organ, it's chronic organ failure. So the organ is failing, all of the tissues of the joint are being destroyed through proteolytic enzymes, and so it becomes a situation where once the disease starts, it progresses and ultimately ends up in a total destruction of the joint. The hallmark is obviously no cartilage, and it's bone on bone. Becomes a very stiff, dry and painful joint. And we are trying to focus in on the grade 2, grade 3 and grade 4 in our phase 3 clinical trial. So that's our target population. So as I mentioned, very large market, over 500 million people clinically diagnosed with osteoarthritis. Around 70% of those patients, 365 million, do have osteoarthritis of the knee or hip. And the bottom right-hand figure is a very interesting one. So we were talking on the panel about unmet medical needs. 81% of patients with osteoarthritis are dissatisfied with the current medications. So there is a very significant unmet medical need. And we understand that because if we look at this particular chart, if you look across the bottom, you can see the grades of osteoarthritis, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you look between moderate and severe in that particular lane and then look up at the different class of drugs which are on the right-hand side, you'll see that the lines change from green to red, which means those drugs that were effective in the early stages of the disease are no longer effective in the moderate to severe category. So there's virtually no safe, effective treatment for moderate to severe osteoarthritis. And I think physicians and patients are looking for something that can provide them with very good symptomatic relief, and also look at a drug that could potentially slow down the degeneration of the organ. So we know that our drug, which we've globally registered as xylitol, does have a very unique mechanism of action. It's probably one of the first drugs on the market in the osteoarthritis area that is able to claim that it is a multimodal acting drug. So it has a number of different mechanisms of action. We understand those mechanisms, we understand how they can slow the progression of the disease, and those papers too, from scientific research, have also been published. We also know that the drug is very attractive. It's not injected into the joint. It's actually a subcutaneous injection into the fatty layer around the abdomen, and very much possible to consider home treatment in the future with the auto-injectors that are available on the market now. Classic example would be Ozempic, for example, where most patients are treating themselves with an auto-injector. The drug is also non-opioid, non-steroid based, so a lot of the problems associated with those class of drugs are not relevant here. We don't have dependency issues, we don't have immunocompromisation, which you can get with steroids, etc., etc. So it represents a very neat solution to this problem. As I mentioned, we have done 4 phase 2 clinical studies in association with Ghosh and researchers back in 2005. They found that the drug was effective in treating moderate to severe osteoarthritis pain for up to 6 months. Kumagai from Japan, sorry, I thought you were pointing at me. Kumagai from Japan found the effect of the drug out to 12 months. So this is what I'm saying, that over time you can see that there is information occurring around additional information that could help the drug in the marketplace. So in 005 we did measure the pain and function scores, but we also did biomarker research, and we studied patients out to 6 months. Then we decided that we would look in Para 008 and look out to 12 months and see what the pain reduction was. And what we found was that in the use of our drug in patients with moderate to severe osteoarthritis, we were able to see sustained clinical improvements out to 12 months after 1 course of the product. And what we anticipate going forward is that there will be probably a course or a booster regime every other year thereafter. Also make mention that we have treated over 700 subjects under the TGA Special Access Scheme. This is a special access scheme available to doctors to use medications that are going through clinical development but not yet registered, and used in a situation where the patient has failed other medications and there's no other therapeutic options available. I'm just going to touch on the phase 3 clinical trial design and then finish up. I know I'm just slightly over time. This is very similar to the trial design of our last phase 2 study, which is PARA-008. This is PARA-012, a pivotal phase 3 study. You can see patients on the left-hand side start at screening. Once they are eligible, they are randomised into one of two groups, into the active arm or the placebo arm. Total of 466 subjects for the entire trial. So with a one-to-one randomisation, 233 subjects in the treatment arm, 233 subjects in the placebo arm. As you can see, we start measuring pain at day 1, and it's daily pain with a weekly average out to day 112, and then we take pain scores at day 140, 168, etc., out to 12 months post the last injection. This particular protocol has been reviewed under a Type D meeting with the US FDA and has been cleared, and so we have commenced our pivotal phase 3 clinical study. We have powered it for success. We have taken the drug effect size from our earlier studies and we've averaged it out, and if we were to achieve a 0.3 drug effect size, we would have an 86% probability of success, or if we get a drug effect size of 0.4, we'll have close to 98% probability of success. So we have done the statistics and we're very confident achieving a good outcome. That's mainly for investors to understand that our company, although we're a phase 3 company compared to our peers on the ASX, we are undervalued by comparison. We understand that investors are looking for some growth opportunities, and we think this is one given the fact we're phase 3 and our market cap is only around about 160 million Australian dollars. We have a lot of catalysts coming up. First patient has been dosed both in Australia and also the US. We will be announcing when we have 50% recruitment. We also are pursuing a regional license deal, non-strategic markets, looking to license the product to a pharmaceutical company in, as I say, non-strategic markets, which are those markets excluding the US, Japan and Europe. And then we will have quite a number of other clinical milestones from the phase 3 trial reported out to the market in those time frames. And that's the end of my conclusion, and I apologise for being a few minutes over, but probably have time for one question. Yep. If there's any questions. No further questions. I'll say thank you very much for your attendance, and if there are any questions that may come to mind, we are on stand 19 in the hall, and happy to meet with you sometime tomorrow. We have quite a full schedule of meetings today, but tomorrow we have a bit more time. So if you're passing, please drop by and say hello and ask any further questions. But thank you very much for your attendance.